Rev up your engines!
Mr. Bob said, is the X-Cap Magic Pill a real thing for gas mileage, or is it snake oil? Kevin Hunter, the homework guy, is hawking a pill that's supposed to get you 20% better gas mileage. Is this snake oil? Could it do damage? Okay, well, I don't know what's in those things. I've tried out about every single one of people mad. I never saw any of them work. Here is the thing. One, you can fake anything on video, so I wouldn't believe any of that. A lot of the stuff is false advertising. Here's an example. Years ago, I was trying some of these air filters out, and these guys say, oh, look, you put in this air filter, you can get 30% more horsepower. I'm sitting there thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense, because if that was the case, they'd build them that way, because the EPA gives them bonus points for getting better gas mileage, right? And a lot of these tests, they'll have an engine that's all carboned up, right? Now, maybe the pill has some kind of catalyst in it that it will help burn the carbon out of the engine. And then, yes, the vehicle could get better gas mileage. You're never going to get better gas mileage than when that vehicle was brand new. They're designed to get the most gas mileage they can for that particular design, and you can't do much better. Like most of the designs today on modern cars last few years are burning the gasoline for that engine design 99% efficiently. So then you got 1% to mess with. Big deal. You'll never get that 1%. And even if you did, that's only 1%. That's not 20, 30%, right? Now, I'm not talking the absolute pure efficiency of getting the energy out of gasoline, because gasoline motors are very inefficient. You might only get 30% out of it. But for that particular design, they can get 99% out of it for the way that it's designed, right? And putting a magic pill in the gas tank is not going to change that fact of physics, right? People have been selling that crap for years. I don't understand. I don't know if be false or that garbage. What P.T. Barnum said, there's a sucker born every minute. Yeah, and that's almost all that stuff is. But like I said, you can either fake it with a video, or you can do an underlying false video by getting a junker that's all clogged up, and maybe the pill will clean the crud out, and then it'll get better gas mileage, right? Until it gets back to what it originally was, then it won't get any better than that. As for will it do any damage, I don't know. Something like that, you'd have to take it to a chemical engineer who understood petrochemicals to say, okay, here's the reaction that this has. Because I know back in the day, they used to have additives that you could put in your oil that would help the engines run better and could seal a little bit of the worn metal. And it worked on the old clunker American V8s, but if you put it in a modern GDI engine, you'd make the engine explode. I wouldn't mess with any of that stuff if I were you. You never know what the reaction's going to be, whether it's going to cause a problem or not. Who knows? Like people say, throw mothballs in your gas tank and it'll run better. It could destroy the car, melt the catalytic converter, right? Now, back in the day, the old junkers that had carburetors, yeah, maybe it would clean them out. But today, no, it's much different. You don't want to mess with that stuff. Bigot says, I'm plagued by my spark plugs. My wife has a 2012 Camry V6. I love Toyotas. I'm trying to change the spark plug. It's the one next to the firewall. I can't reach. Any ideas how to get it out? Okay, here's the problem. You got the V6, all right? The front three are simple, but the back three, the only way to do it correctly is to remove the intake manifold plenum. You gotta take all that crap off. That's just how they are. That's why you should always put iridium plugs. Some iridium plugs can last over 200,000 miles. You only got 110. If they're iridium and you check the front ones and they're okay, they're not gapped, the gap hasn't grown too much, just leave them in. Because the only way you can really do it is by taking the intake plenum, and it's a pain in the butt. It takes hours, and it's a lot of work, and you got to get your hand at little places you're going to scratch, rip your arms apart. Most of the V6 engines these days are that way. They're transverse, and the back three are almost impossible to get. It doesn't matter what brand you buy, they're almost all that way. I used to swear at the Chryslers and the Nissans when they started doing that, but now everybody else does the same thing. They're almost all impossible. The old ones you could, but then they said, what the heck, we'll make a lot of money tuning them up at the dealers, so make them so it's real hard to change those back three plugs. You just have to take the plenum off. That's how it goes. That's the only real easy way to do it. It's a lot of work, but it will come off. Rye78 says I got an 07 Altima 2.5 that's overheating. Well, not just you, many people have that problem with those. I was driving around, I noticed my engine was running hotter near the red. I checked the coolant, it's fine, it's not leaking. The heater was only blowing lukewarm air. When I start going over 40, the needle starts moving up. Start with the basics. The absolute cheapest thing is replacing the thermostat. Just unbolt it, put a new one in. Simple, cheap. Often fixes the problem. Very easy fix, right? Now, if that doesn't, and you find that it only does it when you start going at highway speeds, unless your coolant is low, but if it's full, it's not that. And if the thermostat didn't fix it and the coolant's full, generally, that means one of two things. Hope it's just the radiator. Radiators are made out of plastic and aluminum. Now, aluminum doesn't rust, but it corrodes just as bad as steel rusts. It will corrode inside, can't dissipate heat. The faster you go, create more heat. An old worn-out radiator can't dissipate. Pray it's that, because the other one you don't want, and Nissans are known for it. If your head gasket's starting to blow, the faster you go, it'll start running a lot hotter. That's easy to test, though. Watch my video, how to tell if your head gasket's blowing, Scotty. You get a little test tube and some blue liquid you get at Amazon for 35 bucks or so. Run the test. If the blue turns yellow, you know your head gasket's starting to blow. And my advice, it's a Nissan, get rid of it. It's not worth trying to rebuild the engines on those. They're junk as they age. Pray it's just the radiator. Should I buy a Honda SUV? Scotty, my wife's looking at a Honda CR-V or Acura RDX. Unfortunately, RAV4 and Lexus headrest won't work for her bad back. Any pluses or minuses? I have a new Ridgeline. I like that. Those are good choices. They're excellent vehicles. I would buy the Toyota or Lexus myself. I would say CR-V because the Acuras cost more and they cost more to repair as time goes on. Those CR-Vs can last forever. I got customers with them have more than 500,000 miles on them. If she likes the Honda CR-V, go for it. They're excellent vehicles. You know, the CR-V and the RAV4 are neck and neck. Now, RAV4 sells quite a bit more than the Honda CR-Vs in the United States each year, but RAV4 is number one and CR-V is number two, so they're still both excellent vehicles. And if she likes the Hondas, get it. I wouldn't spend the extra on the RDX unless she really likes the luxury, and it's going to cost more to maintain, too. The Honda can run, and be relatively cheap to maintain. I know nothing says. The windows keep rolling down in my Lexus. Every time my wife locks her doors with a key fob on her '06 Lexus, all the windows roll down by hitting the bottom once. And with different known working key fobs, it does the same thing. All right, unfortunately, since all the key fobs do the same thing, it's not the key fob. It is the receiving unit, the computer module in your Lexus. Those things cost a small fortune, and it's breaking down. It's getting one signal, and it's putting it into another system and making the windows roll down. It's just broken down. You're going to have to find a Lexus mechanic who's got a Lexus dealer computer. Once you replace those parts, they got to be reprogrammed for your car too. It's a very expensive endeavor. You might just open the door, get out, push the door lock inside, and then lock it. Don't use the remote. I've seen people spend over $1,500 when they had to do a bunch of electric work on those computer modules to fix something like that. So you might just tell her, push the lock button once you get out, inside the master, close it. That works great. And don't use the remote to lock it. Bronco Buck says, how do I move my transmission? I'm replacing tranny on '06 Escape 3-liter automatic. How can I do it the easiest way? Unfortunately, because of those designs, easier for a professional mechanic like myself to get a cherry picker, pick the motor and the transmission out at the same time, take them apart on the floor, put them back together, then put them in because of the way those are built. You can get the transmission off with it on the vehicle, but it is a much bigger headache. There's hardly any working room. All the crap is in the way. You're going to rip wires, break things off trying to get it off. They're designed to take them off as a unit, engine and tranny, then take the tranny off on the ground, put it all back together again, and put it back in. If you don't own a cherry picker, rent one. You can buy them from Harbor Freight Tools for less than $200 usually, and they work perfectly fine. They're made in China, but they're just steel and a jack. It's not rocket technology, it's simple technology from the ancient Greeks, so anybody can use it, right? You might try that, because believe me, doing them on the vehicle, you're going to be pulling your hair out with all the crap that's going to be in the way. They weren't designed to be taken apart that way. Well, they're at it in California. They're going to vote on banning gasoline cars by 2035. Of course, we all know the land of taxation, California. They're going to try to make everybody go electric and stuff. Chainsaws, gasoline, lawn mowers, you name it. Can't barbecue outside. Now, they say they're going to ban the sale of gasoline cars in 2035. New cars. So even there, they got a long way to go. All right, that's what? 13 years from now. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then? And this is just the banning of the sale of new gasoline cars. I'm not saying you can't have the old ones. Now, knowing how California is, they'll probably just tax regular cars out of existence by putting a tax on them or something like that. They'll go for the British model. But it doesn't seem to work out all that well for Great Britain. They seem to be in a giant morass economically, so maybe it's not the right way to go. Who knows? But one of the members of the California Air Research Board says that he's 99.9% sure that this bill will pass to ban the sale of new gasoline cars starting in 2035. But as they say, laws are laws. If they'll be repealed, which they can easily be repealed, who knows? If it'll actually be enacted when the year 2035 comes up, who knows what's going to happen between now and then? Nobody has any idea. Yeah, things change. They change over time. Well, even these guys are admitting 2035, quite a long time from now. I don't think we're ever going to be jumping in our electric cars soon and zooming around. There's no infrastructure. There's all kinds of problems with that. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned for 2035. I plan on still being around then. Maybe I'll get a little bigger. Who knows? So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.